Impossible Indonesia, its most amazing volcanic worlds. A super eruption formed Lake Toba's caldera, nearly 100 kilometers long. Across 5 volcanic worlds, the landscapes reveal what that buried pressure still controls. Indonesia's finest scenery is built on moving ground. Oceanic plates drive beneath the archipelago, feeding magma into a chain of cones, crater lakes, ash plains, and fertile highlands. The same forces that enrich farms can close roads, load the air with gas and ash, shake towns, and force rapid evacuations. I want to understand why people continue to build lives so close to that pressure, and how beauty can conceal the warning signs. In this video, we explore Bromo, Ijen, Kelimutu, Kintamani, and Toba to see how restless geology shapes land, livelihood, and risk. The city that grew rich by the sea is now fighting to keep the sea outside. At Semarang, monsoon rain and high tides press from above, while groundwater extraction helps pull parts of the coastal plain downward. Tanjung Emas remains a major port, linking inland farms and factories to routes across the Java Sea. Roads and railways feed containers, workers, and commuters onto the same low ground. Growth tightened the trap. More construction and water demand accompanied expansion, while sinking land made neighborhoods, industrial zones, roads, and tracks harder to defend. Flooding here rarely has one cause. Rainfall, swollen rivers, high tides, rising seas, blocked drains, and subsidence can arrive together and reinforce one another. The engineering response is broad and relentless. Pumps, canals, retention basins, seawalls, raised roads, and coastal barriers. Each structure needs maintenance, and each intervention can drive water toward another district. Residents perform their own engineering. Floors rise, belongings move upward, commuting routes change, and work bends around recurring inundation. But adaptation is uneven. Informal and lower-income districts often have fewer resources to raise buildings, replace damaged materials, or recover lost working hours. Kota Lama carries the same pressure in brick and stone. Its colonial-era warehouses, offices, churches, shutters, thick walls, and covered walkways were designed to manage tropical heat, not a sinking coast. Preserving them now means more than repairing facades. Drainage, stronger structures, reused buildings, groundwater policy, housing, and port investment must pull in the same direction. Farther inland, the Great Mosque of Central Java answers with a broad courtyard, retractable umbrellas, and the 99-meter Al Husna Tower. Yet height does not cancel what is happening below. Semarang gives instability an urban form. A proud port keeps rebuilding its defenses to hold its place between sinking land and rising water. Cosmic order meets geological disorder in Yogyakarta. Since the 18th century, the city has grown around the craton, while restless Mount Merapi looms to the north. The reigning sultan still lives at the Craton and also serves as governor of this special region. Court authority and modern administration occupy the same center. A historic north-south axis runs from Merapi through the palace, public squares, monuments, markets, and city routes, then points toward the Indian Ocean. UNESCO now recognizes this plan, which still structures daily movement. That continuity depends on hands, not monuments alone. Workshops draw or stamp hot wax onto batik, dye the cloth, dry it, and boil the wax away to expose layered designs. Malioboro Street applies a different pressure. Shops, food stalls, hotels, cycle rickshaws, musicians, vendors, and pedestrians all compete for a narrow commercial corridor. Yogyakarta is also a university city where student districts, contemporary art, demonstrations, cheap restaurants, and technology firms operate beside hereditary court culture. The contrast is not disorder, it is the city's working form. Beyond the center, Borobudur and Prambanan preserve Buddhist and Hindu kingdoms that came before Java's later Islamic courts. Here, history is layered rather than replaced. But the ground can interrupt every layer at once. Merapi's eruptions push ash into northern communities and across the city, while major earthquakes have damaged homes, workshops, and monuments. Rapid growth adds another load: traffic, groundwater demand, waste, and construction pressure around heritage districts. Restoring walls is not enough if workshops close or old routes become unusable. Yogyakarta endures because it treats continuity as daily work, not as a museum display. The view toward Merapi carries a warning. A living royal city preserves ancient order beneath a volcano that can cover its streets in ash. Cosmic order was built in stone on ground repeatedly shaken by earthquakes. Raised in the 9th century, Indonesia's largest Hindu temple compound is crowned by a Shiva sanctuary about 47 meters high. Hindu and Buddhist dynasties competed, exchanged ideas, and used monuments to claim authority. The inner court fixed that ambition around Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma. Concentric walls, raised terraces, gateways, and smaller shrines imposed a strict route. The Ramayana reliefs require that movement, advancing the epic one carved panel at a time. Javanese tradition offers a sharper story. Roro Jonggrang thwarted the making of 1,000 temples in one night and was turned to stone. The legend promises instant creation. The compound records long labor. Then political centers shifted and maintenance faded. Earthquakes, vegetation, volcanic ash, removed stone, and structural failure scattered the architecture across the plain. In 2006, the Yogyakarta earthquake damaged Prambanan again. Engineers closed affected areas and tested whether tall chambers and stacked masonry remained stable. Reconstruction is closer to forensic work than ordinary building. Archaeologists match displaced blocks, consult old photographs and records, and separate original stone from modern replacements. Some shrines cannot be rebuilt because too little original masonry remains. A complete outline can be manufactured, Authenticity cannot be guessed. The Ramayana continues nearby through Javanese dance, costume, gamelan, and light, with the temple skyline behind it. Outdoor performances, like the stone complex itself, still answer to weather. Its future now depends on drainage, monitoring, careful stabilization, and relentless documentation. These quiet engineering choices decide how much of the 9th century reaches the next disturbance. What grips me is the contradiction made visible at Prambanan. Java's unstable geology gives the temple its volcanic setting, then coats the stone with ash, shakes the masonry, and forces each generation to hold it upright. Mount Agung once forced Tirtha Ganga's carefully controlled water channels out of service. Created by the last king of Karangasem in the late 1940s, Tirtha Ganga required major restoration after Mount Agung's 1963 eruption. Its name invokes the sacred water of the Ganges, yet the garden depends on a local spring in Bali's comparatively dry east. That spring feeds channels, fountains, pools, bathing areas, and farmland beyond the palace boundary. Water carries ceremony, beauty, and daily use through the same network. The king took a direct interest in the design, joining Balinese spatial ideas with Chinese and European influences. But the real achievement is hydraulic. The tiered fountain, koi pools, planted terraces, and bathing spaces work only while water keeps moving. Mount Agung makes that control provisional. Its volcanic ground enriches eastern Bali's fields, but ash can contaminate channels, halt circulation, and disrupt farming. Reconstruction reached beyond pavilions and stonework. Crews also revived the hidden connections binding spring, pool, and outlet. That duty never ends. Pools need cleaning, algae must be controlled, fish and vegetation need care, and pumps, channels, and stonework require repair. Heavy visitor movement adds another load, concentrating feet along narrow paths and stepping stones above the water. Nearby rice terraces expose the larger logic. Designed water does not stop at a royal wall. It enters the cultivated landscape and supports work beyond the garden. The calm is not what holds my attention. Tirtha Ganga is beauty kept alive by maintenance, rebuilt under the volcanic pressure that enriches its soil. Seven towers of timber, bamboo, and thatch endure where every outside supply must climb the same mountain path. At roughly 1,100 meters in western Flores, Way Rebo remains several steep hours from the road near Dengue. The route cuts through forest, coffee plots, ridges, and stream crossings. Rain can turn access into a slow, physical test for residents, roof materials, food, and visitors alike. Around a central ceremonial space, 7 restored Mbaru Niang stand as compact feats of mountain engineering. Their steep palm thatch roofs throw off heavy rain and hold communal life against cool nights. Each circular house rises through 5 internal levels. Daily life occupies the lowest. Above it, Families traditionally keep food, seed, tools, valuables, and materials with ritual meaning. But the form survives only through maintenance. Thatch and structural pieces wear out, so suitable forest and cultivated materials must be found, carried, fitted, and replaced by shared labor. That repeated work is the real monument, not a relic, but proof that design stays alive only when skill passes between generations. Coffee brings important income, joined by farming, weaving, guiding, lodging, food service, and tourism management. More visitors can fund restoration and households, but they also press on water, sanitation, waste removal, privacy, and ceremonies. Arrival follows local protocol before movement through the settlement. That boundary matters. Way Rebo is a working community, not an unrestricted exhibit. A UNESCO Asia-Pacific Award recognized the conservation work in 2012. But Way Rebo is not a World Heritage Site. Here, Indonesia's unsettling beauty carries a hard price. The mountain preserves a rare form of life only by making continuity a daily physical task. Three lakes share one volcanic summit, yet each can turn a different color without warning. At Kelimutu in Flores, narrow rock walls divide waters that may appear turquoise, green, blue, brown, red, gray, or nearly black. The colors follow no reliable cycle. Rainfall, acidity, dissolved minerals, oxygen, volcanic gases, and hot water moving below the crater can all alter the chemistry. Iron compounds shift as oxygen conditions change. Gas entering through the crater floor then rearranges the balance between material dissolved in the water and particles suspended within it. Each lake also has its own underground plumbing. That is why neighboring basins, separated by only a thin volcanic wall, can hold sharply different colors at the same moment. Local Leo tradition reads the craters differently. Tiwu Ata Mbupu belongs to elders, Tiwu Nuwa Muri Kufai to the young, and Tiwu Ata Polo to those believed to have lived wrongly. I find the tension important. Chemistry explains the changing water. Leo belief places ancestry and moral order inside the same unstable ground. Most arrivals begin in Mani before dawn, then continue on foot from the park road. The early start does not command the mountain. Cloud can erase all three lakes within minutes. Wind, rain, low temperatures, volcanic gas, and unstable crater edges make barriers and monitoring essential. Ash or stronger unrest can quickly change access. Those closures reach beyond the summit. Farms, villages, roads, and livelihoods around Mani all depend in part on the flow of visitors. Kelimutu offers no fixed performance. Cloud can erase the view, chemistry can remake it, and unrest can close the summit before villages below are ready. Boat crews time Raja Ampat's narrow passages by tide. Those same channels carry the nutrients that feed its reefs. The name means four kings. Yet Waigeo, Batanta, Salawati, and Misul sit within a field of more than 1,500 islands, cays, and shoals. That broken geography concentrates force. Pacific and Indonesian waters meet across the Coral Triangle, and tides squeeze through narrow passages around the Dampier Strait. The currents can turn quickly and run hard, but they also carry plankton and nutrients. Pressure in the channels feeds abundance on the reefs. Coral gardens support manta rays, reef sharks, turtles, schooling fish, and mollusks. The wealth is not held in one habitat. It moves between mangroves, seagrass, reef walls, and current-swept points. Juvenile fish shelter among mangrove roots, turtles feed over seagrass, and larger animals follow reef walls. These habitats function as one connected nursery and feeding ground. Above them, uplifted limestone has weathered into forested karst towers, caves, hidden lagoons, and thin-soiled islands. Here, geological upheaval has left beauty with little room to spare. Villages depend on boats for fishing, school, medical travel, supplies, homestays, and movement between islands. Every route must negotiate fuel cost, weather, tides, and submerged reefs. Local knowledge is not an ornament here. It is the operating map for channels that can change with tide and weather. Customary sasi can close an area or resource to harvesting for a time. Community authority becomes a practical conservation tool, backed by protected area zones and visitor fees. But distance cuts both ways. It protects some habitats while making patrols. Emergency care, waste removal, enforcement, and reliable supplies harder and more expensive. Reefs still face warming, bleaching, plastic, anchors, and past fishing damage. Beauty here rests on shifting currents, thin ground, community authority, and restraint. Belitung turns geology into two opposing landscapes: granite beaches at the coast, mining pits inland. Ancient rock forms the island's coves, while generations of tin extraction left artificial ponds, stripped soil, and altered drainage. Between Sumatra and Borneo, massive granite blocks have weathered into rounded forms, narrow passages, and sheltered tidal pools. Yet the coast never holds one shape. Falling water exposes sandbars and roots between rocks. The rising sea isolates formations and presses the beach against vegetation. That rhythm controls access and work. Small fishing and tour boats link coastal villages, reefs, and offshore islands, adjusting their routes to water and weather. One common route reaches Lengkuas Island, where a Dutch-era lighthouse marks the surrounding channels. The harder record lies inland. Tin extraction transformed Belitung under colonial rule and continued after independence, bringing employment and export income. Open excavation also left pits, artificial ponds, stripped soil and drainage pushed away from its old course. Some ground remains difficult to return to farming or forest. Concerns over water quality and abandoned land now sit beside dependence on a finite mineral. Fishing, pepper cultivation, small businesses, quarrying and tourism carry more weight. Laskar Pelangi changed the island's public image. Andrea Hirata's novel and its film adaptation tied Belitung to education, poverty, friendship, and mining society, not beaches alone. New attention brought guest houses, restaurants, and boat services, giving the coast fresh economic value. UNESCO Global Geopark status now links the granite landscape with local communities and geological interpretation. Belitung makes Indonesia's bargain with geology physical. Granite draws attention at the shore, while mining ponds inland hold the long cost of extracting geological wealth. Daily life at Wakatobi rests on shallow reef platforms beside a sudden plunge into deep water. 4 island groups, Wangi-Wangi, Kaladupa, Tomia, and Binongko, give the park its name, while their reefs fall sharply into the surrounding seas. That drop creates walls, channels, pinnacles, and current-swept points. It also binds deep water, reef, seagrass, mangrove, landing, and household into one working landscape. Mangroves slow erosion and shelter young animals. Seagrass feeds turtles and fish, while corals support life across different depths and currents. The sea here is not scenery around human life. Boats carry people between islands and move fish, school children, fuel, food, trade, and medical transport. Bajo communities have long organized life around the water, with some settlements built above the shallows. Their maritime knowledge still shapes fishing and island transport. Permanent housing, formal schools, public services, conservation rules, and tourism are changing older patterns of mobility. The change brings access and income, but not evenly. Park zoning separates core conservation areas, tourism sites, traditional use zones, and fishing grounds. But lines on a map are hard to enforce across a large inhabited seascape. Pressure arrives from both sea and shore. Warming and bleaching weaken coral, storms, plastic, sediment, old destructive fishing practices, and demand for marketable species add further strain. Tourism can reduce dependence on extraction, yet training, ownership, and income remain uneven. Bad weather and limited transport can still cut access to markets and health services. Damage below returns quickly to the village landing, as less food, less reliable work, and greater dependence on costly transport. Reef decline becomes a household crisis before it becomes a postcard loss. Before sunrise, jeep convoys climb above an active volcanic basin where farms, worship, and tourism share the same ground. Mount Bromo rises about 2,300 meters inside the much larger Tengger caldera, while Semeru, Java's highest mountain and one of its most active volcanoes, holds the southern horizon. Bromo is not a solitary cone. The deeply ribbed but inactive Mount Batok stands beside it, and the ash-covered caldera floor spreads below as the sea of sand. Before dawn, jeep convoys climb from highland villages toward viewpoints around Mount Penanjakan. Later, engines descend into the basin, and people cross the sand by vehicle, horse, or on foot. Wind can lift fine ash across the plain. Rain turns tracks to mud. A route that looks permanent can change quickly. At the crater, emissions make the hidden pressure measurable. Gas readings and volcanic activity can trigger exclusion zones or close access to the smoking rim. The Tenggerese, a Hindu community, have villages, fields, and sacred geography around Bromo. During Yajna Kasada, offerings cross the caldera and enter the crater in a tradition tied to Tengger ancestors. The same volcanic ground supports work. On cooler slopes, farmers raise potatoes, onions, cabbages, and other highland crops across steep fields. But fertile soil does not cancel risk. Ashfall can damage plants, close roads, disrupt tourism, contaminate water, and force households to change work with little warning. Monitoring stations, gas measurements, local instructions, and shifting alert levels belong to ordinary life. Preparedness keeps farms, routes, and villages functioning. An alert level change can turn a pilgrimage route, farm road, and tourism corridor into an exclusion zone overnight. The world's largest living lizard survives where fresh water can become the scarcest resource. Created in 1980 around Komodo, Rinca, Padar, and nearby islands, the park protects major dragon populations on land and strong tidal channels offshore. The terrain is far drier than Western Indonesia. Long dry seasons strip moisture from the grasslands, while monsoon forest holds on in valleys and around limited water sources. That scarcity shapes the dragon. It conserves energy in shade, relying on camouflage, sudden movement, strong jaws, and smell rather than prolonged pursuit. Young dragons often climb trees, reducing contact with larger adults. Mature animals control ground-level feeding sites, where every dependable food source carries weight. As dry months tighten their grip, water and prey gather in fewer places. Drought, wildfire, or a decline in deer can then strain the entire land ecosystem. Rangers work inside that pressure. They lead designated routes, read tracks and behavior, and control how closely people approach animals that are feeding or resting. The sea applies a different force. Narrow straits drive strong tidal currents between the Indian Ocean and Indonesia's inner seas. Fast changes in direction can make dive sites hazardous. Those currents also lift and exchange nutrient-rich water. Reefs, manta rays, turtles, dolphins, sharks, and productive fisheries depend on the same movement that complicates access. Most visitor boats arrive from expanding Labuan Bajo with crews, guides, fuel, food, and fresh water. Tourism creates jobs and conservation revenue, but adds traffic, waste, disturbance, and infrastructure demand. Komodo is compelling and unsettling. Scarcity shapes the dragon, currents feed the reefs, and every new boat adds work for managers and strain for communities older than tourism. Distance bends around Flores' mountains. The Trans-Flores Road climbs from coastal towns to passes, then drops through valleys where rain, Landslides, roadworks, and steep grades slow every kilometer. Flores is a long volcanic spine, so the road negotiates the same unstable relief that makes the island spectacular. Distance here is measured by slopes, not straight lines. Mountains also separated communities and helped preserve numerous languages. Farming, coffee, cacao, fishing, weaving, and livestock still depend on uneven access to roads, markets, and services. The island's name grew from the Portuguese Cabo de Flores. Catholic church life now stands beside adat, ancestor traditions, ceremonial houses, and local sacred ground. Mountain settlements turn isolation into design. Communal houses, ceremonial grounds, and farms are organized around steep access and shared labor. Farther east, Kelimutu concentrates the island's geological tension. Its 3 crater lakes can change color as hydrothermal chemistry shifts, while Leo traditions connect them with ancestral souls. That chemistry is only one face of pressure. Eruptions, earthquakes, drought, and intense rain can interrupt farms, roads, trade, and access to essential services. In the west, Labuan Bajo is expanding as the gateway to Komodo National Park. Airports, hotels, marinas, boats, and construction bring opportunity, but rising land values add pressure. Growth moves faster on the coast than in many inland valleys. New infrastructure cannot flatten the mountains or make damaged slopes predictable. Flores makes Indonesia's bargain concrete. Tectonic pressure builds crater lakes, steep farmland, and extraordinary relief, then burdens every road and settlement laid across it. The beauty is frightening because the force behind it never becomes harmless. Bali's greenest fields rise from the same volcanic force that can cover them in ash. Along the Sunda volcanic arc, eruptions built fertile uplands, while Mount Agung and Mount Batur leave nearby communities exposed to ash, earthquakes, and lahars. That pressure does not end at the crater. Rain drains from the mountains, and Balinese farmers divide it through subak associations that cross family boundaries. Members coordinate canals, planting dates, repairs, and water temple observances. Constant maintenance turns steep volcanic ground into dependable terraces. This is engineering without a single control room. Gates, channels, temples, and agreements move mountain water across fields owned by different families. The arrangement reflects Trihita Karana, joining people, the spiritual realm, and the environment. It also anchors Bali's UNESCO-inscribed cultural landscape. Ritual is not separate from this labor. Offerings mark homes, shops, fields, beaches, and road junctions, while larger festivals reorganize streets around processions, music, and dance. Once a year, Nyepi halts most public movement and normal airport operations for a day. A global tourism hub accepts stillness as a religious obligation. The land changes just as sharply. Mount Batur's caldera, wet ravines near Ubud, eastern lava fields, northern black sand shores, and the dry limestone Bukit Peninsula. The bargain runs beneath that variety. Volcanic ground feeds farms and forests, yet every terrace and temple calendar operates under geological pressure. Tourism widens the bargain. It supports drivers, dancers, artists, restaurants, and accommodation, but also raises land prices, water demand, congestion, waste, and pressure to convert rice fields. Along the coast, erosion and plastic add strain. Inland, villages still carry farming, craftwork, and temple duties. Bali's beauty is neither decoration nor accident. It is fertile ground maintained under a volcano's terms. The volcanic ground that made Ubud fertile also leaves its ravine edges vulnerable. The Wars River and its tributaries have carved steep cuts through soft rock and rich soil, forcing roads onto narrow ridges between valleys. Paths descend toward springs, temples, irrigation channels, forest and rice fields. Terrain controls daily movement. Ubud's royal court and neighboring villages supported painters, wood carvers, stone carvers, musicians, mask makers, and dancers. Foreign artists later widened the audience, but local patrons and artist groups shaped the work itself. That distinction matters. Legong, Barong, Gamelan, and Kecak may fill nightly programs, yet dance, masks, music, and offerings still carry temple festivals and family obligations. The sacred monkey forest holds another compressed boundary. Temple structures, ravine forest, long-tailed macaques, residents, food, and heavy visitor traffic share limited ground. Protection here also means managing contact. Beyond the center, Subak canals cling to ravine contours, where one blocked channel or failed wall can interrupt water far beyond a single field. Tourism brings jobs, then presses against the land that built Ubud's reputation. Fields become villas, restaurants, spas, and access roads. Land prices, water extraction, traffic, and waste all rise. Narrow streets now carry commuters, deliveries, and day tours until a ceremonial procession closes the route. Culture is not blocking the town. The town has crowded the space culture requires. Seasonal rain adds the geological warning. Low ground can flood, ravine edges can destabilize, and every new road or building places more weight on already cut terrain. Volcanic soil and shared water still support abundance. The test is whether roads, villas, and visitor demand leave enough stable ground for farming and ceremony. At Ijen, electric blue flames burn beside a turquoise lake loaded with volcanic acid. Kawah Ijen holds one of the world's largest highly acidic crater lakes, inside eastern Java's broad caldera of forest, coffee plantations, villages, and volcanic cones. The chemistry starts below the surface. Volcanic gases meet rainwater, minerals, and rock, turning collected water into an aggressive acid. Along the vents, pipes concentrate sulfur-rich gas as it forces its way through fractures. Cooling changes that gas into liquid sulfur, then hard yellow deposits. Some hot gas ignites when it meets air, producing the electric blue flames seen at night. This is burning gas and sulfur vapor, not blue lava. Daylight overwhelms the color, even while the crater keeps releasing emissions. The spectacle vanishes, the pressure does not. The hardest transformation is human. Miners break sulfur with metal bars, fill paired baskets, then haul them up the steep crater wall toward collection points. Every load combines fumes, unstable ground, darkness, sharp gradients, and repetitive strain. Respiratory protection can be limited, but income still depends on entering the crater. Wind can drive gas across the trail with little warning. When unrest rises or concentrations become unsafe, authorities can close the route, cutting work and tourism at once. Tourism pays guides, drivers, vendors, and lodging. It can also turn dangerous labor into a night attraction, hiding the exposure and physical cost behind blue light. Outside the rim, volcanic soil and highland climate support coffee and farms. The same slopes remain exposed to ash, landslides, gas, and broken transport links. At Ijen, instability is paid for in lungs, muscle, lost work, and closed roads, not only measured in acid, sulfur, and blue light. One of China's great Buddhist mountains is not one sanctuary, but a chain of sacred sites across steep ground. Mount Bromo is one of China's 4 principal Buddhist sacred mountains, yet its halls and roots are scattered across forests, villages, ridges, and high points. Its religious weight deepened in the 8th century through Jin Xiaojue, a monk traditionally described as a prince from Korea's Silla kingdom. His severe discipline became linked with Dizang, the bodhisattva vowed to aid beings in hardship. That history turned terrain into part of devotion. Stone stairs connect temples, caves, statues, lodgings, and upper sanctuaries, forcing pilgrimage to unfold through distance and gradient. Summer rain wets the roots, winter cold, mist, granite, and steep slopes govern pace long before any ceremony begins. Pilgrims climb, offer incense, bow along the route, and stay near temples. The mountain's meaning has long been built through repeated movement between settlement and summit. Roads and cable cars have changed that movement. They open the heights to many elderly visitors, but they also compress crowds around major temples and shorten traditional ascents. Access supports a mountain economy. Residents provide transport, beds, food, tea, maintenance, and devotional goods. Porters and drivers turn difficult ground into a working route. Monastic communities carry another load: prayer, study, ceremonies, hospitality, and constant property care. Timber halls beside burning incense demand strict fire control. Peak periods raise water demand, waste, traffic, trail erosion, and pressure on forest habitats. Moisture enters buildings, and every restoration must account for earlier rounds of rebuilding. Mount Bromo remains sacred because monks, residents, pilgrims, and workers keep its scattered roots alive while protecting the slopes and forests that make the pilgrimage possible. Some of the largest known cave passages on Earth lie beneath a forest that gives away almost nothing from above. At Phongnake Bang, parts of the limestone record hundreds of millions of years, yet seasonal floods can make caves impassable. Ordinary rain starts the work. Water absorbs carbon dioxide, turns mildly acidic, and enters fractures, slowly opening sinkholes, shafts, chambers, and underground rivers. The rock is shaped by what water removes. Surface water vanishes below forested ridges, cuts new routes through stone, and redirects drainage where no road can follow. Phong Ha Cave can be entered by boat along an underground river. Paradise Cave offers a walking route, but deeper passages demand a different scale of preparation. Sondung contains some of the largest known cave passages on Earth. Where sections of roof have collapsed, daylight, mist, and vegetation occupy pockets cut off from the darkness nearby. Access is tightly limited. Authorized guides, porters, technical equipment, camps, river crossings, and strict waste rules turn entry into a controlled expedition rather than casual sightseeing. That control is not ceremony. Floodwater can block passages and reshape sediment, so every route depends on season, river level, equipment, and disciplined labor. Above, rare primates, birds, and other wildlife occupy forest that is difficult to patrol. Wartime hazards also remain hidden in this ground. Tourism supports boat operators, guides, porters, drivers, hotels, restaurants, and village households. But roads, artificial light, litter, touch, and heavy visitation can alter cave temperature, humidity, microorganisms, and mineral surfaces. The hidden drainage is the real conservation boundary. Water beneath the ridges links chambers and habitats that most visitors will never see. Phongnake Bang reveals its scale underground. Ancient limestone channels, seasonal floods through vast, sensitive spaces where human access must remain difficult. Yunnan's largest Tibetan Buddhist monastery operates where thin air and winter cold punish every roof, wall, and daily task. Songzanlin rises above 3,000 meters near Shangri-La, with assembly halls, chapels, monks' residences, kitchens, and storehouses terraced across the slope. Founded in the 17th century with support from the 5th Dalai Lama, Ganden Sumtsiling belongs to the Gelug school. That scale makes worship and maintenance part of the same daily workload. High altitude sets the terms. Oxygen is reduced, sunlight is intense, winters are cold, and seasonal rain drives water into walls, drains, timber, and roof surfaces. Nothing here can simply be completed and left alone. Roofs need repair, courtyards need drainage, wooden rooms must be watched for moisture and wear. The monastery is also a working settlement, not a ceremonial shell. Study, debate, prayer, music, offerings, cooking, and receiving pilgrims fill the same steep ground. Butter lamps and incense burn near textiles, paintings, manuscripts, statues, and timber. That proximity makes fire control, careful storage, and disciplined movement part of religious continuity. The 20th century brought severe political upheaval and major damage. Extensive rebuilding followed, so the gilded skyline records continuity reconstructed, not continuity untouched. Beyond the walls, Tibetan villages, fields, grazing land, and Lamu Yangkuo Lake show why isolation is the wrong frame. The monastery belongs to an inhabited highland economy. Roads and tourism now bring entrance revenue, transport work, shops, restaurants, accommodation, and faster links to expanding Shangri-La. They also bring crowds, waste, photography limits, and pressure to turn daily practice into spectacle. Songsanlin endures by working, repairing, and setting limits, not by standing still. From Indonesia's volcanoes to Vietnam's flooded heritage and China's mountain monuments, life under pressure depends on maintenance, monitoring, local knowledge, and limits on access. Some of my son's ancient walls hold brick joints so tight they are almost invisible. For roughly 9 centuries, Cham rulers built and rebuilt tower sanctuaries in a valley enclosed by the mountains of central Vietnam. This was not one finished monument. The surviving towers stand in separate clusters, each recording a different reign, repair, fire, or shift in royal power. Most were dedicated to Shiva, often through the linga, and forms tied to royal ancestors and Bhadresvara, a protector deity. Here, Indian religious ideas were reshaped through Cham language, kingship, sculpture, local craft, and regional trade. The engineering still resists simple explanation. Fired bricks meet with exceptionally narrow joints, while carved surfaces, sandstone doorways, lintels, inscriptions, and guardian figures complete the structure and its religious purpose. Scholars continue to test how the bricks were bonded and finished. Conservators face the harder practical question: which new brick and mortar can touch ancient masonry without driving fresh damage? The valley attacks slowly. Monsoon rain enters cracks, roots widen them, biological growth grips the surface, salt and changing moisture weaken walls from within. Then came severe 20th century conflict damage. Cratered ground, broken towers, and displaced sculpture now stand beside stabilized buildings, so loss remains part of the archaeological record. Repair begins below eye level. Teams map fallen brick, control drainage, clear harmful growth, monitor cracks, document inscriptions, and work around hazardous wartime remnants in the surrounding ground. I find the central tension in that restraint. Rebuilding too much can erase evidence. Doing too little leaves rain and vegetation to make the decision. At my son, restraint is the intervention. Each monsoon tests whether drainage, documentation, and selective repair can preserve both the towers and the evidence of their damage. Still water misleads in Lanha Bay. A falling tide can close a route without moving a single rock. East and south of Katba Island, deep passages carry cruise boats, while a falling tide can seal shallow arches and enclosed lagoons. Lanha Bay is not a scatter of islands. It is limestone fractured and dissolved over immense periods, then partly drowned as sea levels changed. That history left steep walls and almost no usable ground. Water became the road, the workplace, and the only practical link between many coves. Large vessels stay in deep corridors. Small craft enter narrow channels, but crews must read current, wind, visibility, and tide. Seasonal storms and typhoons can erase the day's schedule, forcing boats back to harbor or into shelter. Calm water here is a temporary operating condition, not a promise. The same protected channels support fishing and aquaculture. Floating platforms hold cages, nets, storage, and repair space. Small boats carry workers, supplies, fish, and shellfish. Tourism now shares those routes. Captains, cooks, guides, kayak operators, accommodation providers, and fishers all draw income from a landscape whose usable space is mostly water. But shelter also traps pressure. Enclosed circulation can retain plastic, fuel, sewage, and aquaculture waste, while anchors, noise, shoreline building, and dense boat traffic strain marine habitats. Controls and relocations can protect navigation, water quality, and scenery. They can also remove or restrict facilities that families depend on. Labor is easiest to miss in apparent stillness. Every quiet passage is negotiated among tides, storms, work boats, visitors, and conservation rules. A failed limit is felt at once: a closed route, a fouled cove, or a family losing access to the water that supports its work. Water built the passages that now make solid limestone appear open and navigable. At Tam Kok, the Ngodong River carries small boats beneath 3 caves, between cliffs and cultivated fields. Across Ninh Binh, limestone towers rise from rivers, wetlands, villages, and rice fields. This is lowland karst, shaped as water dissolved rock, and erosion widened the openings. At Trang An, rowboats enter cave tunnels and enclosed valleys, but the route is never fixed. Water level, weather, cave clearance, and management decisions determine where boats can pass. The calm surface hides physical work. Rowers repeat these trips in heat or rain, and visitor numbers directly shape their income. At Tam Kok, the rice season changes both the landscape and the livelihood. Boats move through cultivated ground, where tourism and farming occupy the same narrow corridor. Water also sets limits. Farmers work flood-prone fields, while landing areas, ticketing, boat route rules, and waste controls try to keep heavy visitation from overwhelming the waterways. These cliffs once carried political weight too. Hoa Lu served as the capital of early independent Vietnamese dynasties in the late 10th and early 11th centuries. Rulers relied on cliffs, rivers, wetlands, and narrow approaches to control access. Temples still commemorate that period, binding state power to the terrain. The same limestone also holds sacred ground. Beachdong Pagoda sits against and within a hill, while the much larger Baidin complex handles modern pilgrimage and high-volume visits. Recognition brings protection and pressure. The Trang An Landscape Complex carries UNESCO status for natural and cultural value, yet quarrying, pollution, roads, drainage changes, and poorly controlled building can break apart wetlands and habitats. Ninh Binh's quiet depends on rowers, farmers, pilgrims, and officials holding one hard line. Limestone, water, livelihoods, and heritage must keep sharing limited ground. More than 2,000 caves and niches line one limestone river corridor, from tiny donor images to a Buddha about 17 meters high. Beside the Yi River, roughly 100,000 figures were carved there, mainly between the 5th and 8th centuries. The river corridor gave workers, donors, and worshippers access to the rock. It also delivered moisture, runoff, wind-blown dust, and changing water conditions to the same carved faces. Longmen was not the work of one ruler or one generation. Emperors, court officials, monks, religious groups, and private donors all cut belief and status into limestone. In Guyang Cave, dense inscriptions and elongated Northern Wei figures preserve an earlier court style linked to the transfer of the capital to Luoyang. Farther along, the Tang period Fengxian Temple expands the claim. A Vairocana Buddha about 17 meters high commands disciples, bodhisattvas, guardians, and heavily built heavenly kings. Scale does more than impress. Faces, clothing, posture, and carving depth reveal shifts in court taste, religious emphasis, and political confidence. But limestone keeps taking pressure. Moisture enters cracks, freezing and thawing widen them. Runoff stains surfaces, while confined caves trap the heat, humidity, touch, and vibration brought by visitors. Human loss is cut into the site as clearly as devotion. Deliberate damage and removal left many figures incomplete, while fragments were dispersed into collections abroad. Conservators cannot simply carve the past again. They document at high resolution, monitor air and moisture, improve drainage, stabilize rock, and restrict access where pressure becomes too great. Longmen leaves a hard lesson. Power filled a cliff with sacred figures, but preservation now depends on controlling water, stone, and crowds. Hoi An was preserved partly because the trade that built it moved away. For roughly 4 centuries, from the 15th to the 19th, this river port tied local streets to merchants from across Asia, and later Europe. Merchants exchanged silk, ceramics, spices, timber, and metals along the Thuban River. Their presence left warehouses, quays, temples, merchant houses, and clan halls. Chinese assembly halls anchored communities linked by regional origin. The Japanese covered bridge became the port's defining crossing. A typical narrow house worked hard. A shop faced the street. Courtyards pulled in light and air. Family altars occupied the interior, and storage connected trade to the river. Then the channels silted. Larger vessels favored Da Nang, and Hoi An lost much of its port role. The economic setback also slowed industrial replacement. The retreat of trade protected much of the old street plan, but it did not freeze the town. Families kept altering buildings for domestic work and commerce. The river still sets the hardest terms. During seasonal floods, water enters low streets and buildings. Residents lift furniture, stock, and motorbikes upstairs, close businesses, and use boats until the level falls. After the water retreats, mud remains. Repairs must protect old timber, plaster, roof tiles, carved panels, and historic street fronts while allowing the buildings to flood again. Commerce now returns in another form. Tailoring, food, lantern workshops, hotels, and galleries keep the center earning. But tourism also raises rents and converts homes into visitor businesses. As residents leave, decorative displays can flatten a complex port history into a product. Crowding, traffic, and waste add pressure to streets built for another age. After each flood, the town reopens by lifting out mud, drying timber, and deciding how much tourism its old streets can carry. Cable cars now cross in minutes the deep valleys that once made Fansipan a multi-day test of endurance. At more than 3,000 meters, Fansipan is the highest summit in Vietnam and across the wider Indo-Chinese peninsula. The height compresses several climates into one ascent. Fields and subtropical forest yield to cloud forest, bamboo, exposed ridges, cold rain, and fog. Before the lift, a guided climb meant steep, wet ground and uncertain weather. One route could demand a day, another could stretch across several. That old ascent depended on local labor. Guides chose the route, porters moved supplies, and mountain camps held the climb together. The cable car line changed the climb. It carries large crowds over terrain that once rationed access through fitness, time, and endurance. This is engineering used to defeat distance, not altitude. Reduced oxygen, strong wind, low visibility, and cold rain still control the upper mountain. From the upper station, stairs, terraces, a funicular, monuments, and Buddhist structures manage the final rise. The summit has become a controlled flow of people. The trade-off is clear. The machine opens Fansipan to elderly and less experienced visitors, but changes what reaching the top means. Below, Sapa absorbs the new volume through hotels, restaurants, drivers, markets, and construction. The same growth adds traffic, waste, water demand, and pressure on slopes. Nearby, Hmong, Dao, Thai, Jie, and other communities are tied to this economy, while their cultures can be compressed into commercial display. Fansipan now holds two mountains at once, one crossed slowly through labor and one reached through steel, cables, and managed circulation. Its beauty remains severe and compelling because steel can shorten the ascent, but it cannot command the weather, the slope, or the thin air. Two giant stone hands seem to hold a mountain bridge, yet neither hand carries its weight. Opened in 2018, the walkway runs about 150 meters at roughly 1,400 meters above sea level. The illusion made it famous. Modern supports carry the curving deck. The weathered hands are sculpted scenery, built to make engineering look ancient. It is not a public crossing. It is a pedestrian link inside the Ba Na Hills Resort west of Da Nang. That distinction matters. The bridge does not conquer distance alone. It organizes viewing, photography, and movement inside a controlled tourism complex. Access depends mainly on cable cars rising from hot coastal lowlands into cooler, cloud-prone high country. In one managed ride, elevation and climate change together. Ba Na itself has already been remade once. First developed as a French colonial hill station, it later declined through conflict and abandonment before returning as gardens, hotels, religious buildings, performance spaces, and European-themed streets. The bridge belongs to that reinvention. It joins cable transport, structural supports, sculpture, and mountain weather into one tightly managed image. Yet engineering cannot control the mountain weather. Fog can erase long views within minutes, while wind and rain affect comfort, maintenance, and cable car operations. Fame adds another kind of pressure. Social media images turned the bridge into an international symbol almost immediately, concentrating queues and foot traffic along a walkway only about 150 meters long. Every visit therefore depends on more than the deck. Ticketing, timed movement, resort transport, waste handling, water and energy all operate behind the photograph. The Golden Bridge is a manufactured mountain symbol, not an ancient relic, but a modern structure whose reach depends on engineered access, unstable weather, and staged illusion. The final movement turns to China's engineered sacred landscapes. Deep cliff sockets, not the posts below, carry Xuankong Temple. For roughly 15 centuries, timber halls near Mount Heng have occupied a narrow rock face above a Shaanxi valley. Tradition places Xuankong Temple's foundation in the late 5th century, though later dynasties repaired and rebuilt much of what survives. Its age is a chain of structural decisions. The long posts below create the illusion. The main force travels elsewhere, through horizontal beams driven into sockets cut deep into the cliff. Rock carries timber. Cantilevered beams, ledges, posts, and tight joints divide the load across a compact structure of dozens of small spaces. The site also turns exposure into protection. An overhang blocks much of the direct rain, while elevation once reduced floods, road noise, and disturbance from the valley floor. Narrow galleries, stairs, bridges, and internal passages connect halls at different levels. Movement must stay controlled because old wood, limited width, and concentrated weight leave little margin. What strikes me is how engineering made room for coexistence. Buddhist, Taoist, and Confucian figures share this confined religious complex along an old mountain route. That openness now depends on limits. Single-file movement and crowd restrictions reduce congestion and stress within a structure shaped by generations of repair. Preservation teams watch the cliff as closely as the monastery. They track rock weathering, beam joints, moisture, insects, temperature shifts, vibration, and fire risk. Replacement timber must restore strength without wiping away evidence of older work. Every repair must carry the building's weight while preserving the record of earlier work. Xuan Kong Temple is not suspended by mystery. Its beauty comes from a harder fact. Builders cut load-bearing sockets into rock, and access remains limited to keep the halls standing. The road to Tanah Barak Beach cuts through rock that began as marine material, then rose above the water that formed it. On Bali's southern Bukit Peninsula, this raised limestone terrain stands apart from the volcanic ground that dominates much of the island. The descent begins on a developed plateau. Engineers carved a narrow corridor between pale rock walls, turning access itself into the beach's defining structure. That cut does more than open a route. It exposes stacked limestone and concentrates cars, pedestrians, and stopping traffic inside a confined channel. For a few moments, the road compresses movement between stone and vegetation. Then the corridor releases directly toward cliffs, white surf, and open water. The rock also controls life above the shore. Limestone drains rain quickly, leaving the Bukit drier than Bali's central uplands and shifting its cover from wet season green to browner dry season ground. Dry does not mean fixed. Salt spray, heavy rain, roots, and gravity keep weakening exposed slopes, so drainage and loose rock demand constant attention. The engineered passage therefore carries a double pressure. It must remain open for traffic while the walls on either side continue to weather. At the bottom, tourism loses control. The tide can squeeze usable sand against the cliffs, while swell, wave direction, and currents can turn calm-looking water into a serious hazard. More visitors add another layer. Parking, vendors, entrance management, and new construction can arrive quickly, but waste collection, cliff checks, shoreline erosion, and emergency access must keep pace. I return to the road because it reveals the bargain. Engineering can frame the encounter, but it cannot stabilize the coast. Engineering can frame the descent, but each season forces road, cliff, and beach to renegotiate access with erosion, surf, and growing traffic. An emperor treated an entire mountain range as one sacred construction site. In the early 15th century, the Yongle court pushed timber, bronze, stone, craftspeople, and supplies through steep forest to build across an entire range. Wudong was already a place of worship. The Ming program bound it to Zhenwu, the perfected warrior, promoted as a divine protector of the dynasty. This was not a flat capital plan imposed on rock, Palaces, gates, bridges, hermitages, and paths followed ridges, cliffs, and watercourses, climbing in a ritual sequence toward the summit. That decision is the engineering achievement. The builders did not dominate the terrain by erasing it. They made slope, distance, and exposure carry political and spiritual force. Pilgrims once met that force step by step, crossing successive gates and temples along long stone stairways. Physical effort became part of devotion. The Ming period Golden Hall occupies the exposed summit. Cloud, wind, lightning, sharp temperature changes, and heavy visitation all press against a bronze structure where shelter is scarce. What strikes me is the bargain behind the beauty. Every commanding position also multiplies the burden of keeping it intact. Fire, conflict, abandonment, weather, and rebuilding have repeatedly altered Wudang. Conservation cannot stop at temple walls. It must hold cliff paths, forest, drainage, and distant sightlines together. Modern roads and cable cars now shorten an ascent that once demanded endurance. They also concentrate crowds at a few fragile sites, trading physical hardship for new pressure. Wudang's lasting power rests on a hard bargain. Imperial engineering built state power into sacred terrain, but wind, water, crowds, and steep ground still dictate what can endure. The celebrated lines of Muchang Chai survive only because farmers rebuild what rain and gravity strip away. Across steep slopes, where broad fields cannot exist, each narrow terrace must hold shallow water without collapsing. This is not decoration. It is hillside engineering built from earthen walls, channels, springs, streams, and constant judgment. Water must move from one plot to the next. Too little weakens the crop. Heavy rain can breach banks, carry soil away, and trigger landslides. The terraces slow runoff and make wet rice farming possible. Their curves record a practical answer to steep ground, not an attempt to create scenery. That answer demands repeated labor. Farmers close leaks, repair walls, clear channels, raise seedlings, and transplant rice by hand. Most work still means hand tools and loads carried on foot. Small machines fit only where paths and terraces allow. Buffalo still help in some fields. The mountain changes with the crop. Water gives way to green shoots, yellow grain, then brown soil and stubble after harvest. There is no single date for that sequence. Elevation, rainfall, water access, and local planting decisions set the timing from slope to slope. Khao Pha Pass exposes another pressure. Roads connect settlements and bring visitors, yet fog, rockfall, rain, washouts, and seasonal traffic can constrict them quickly. Photography and festivals support homestays, guides, food, transport, and handicrafts. They also pack vehicles onto narrow roads and crowd a few viewpoints. Labor is shifting as younger residents seek work elsewhere. When fewer hands remain, these terraces lose the repairs that keep water controlled and soil in place. Mu Chang Chai is compelling because its beauty is never finished. Every line is fresh work holding back rain, erosion, and gravity. Indonesia's volcanic beauty cannot be separated from pressure. Fertile soil, crater lakes, tourism, and settlement occupy ground that can shift with little notice. The plain takeaway is not that every volcano signals an immediate crisis. It is that admiration without geological awareness is incomplete. For me, these 5 volcanic worlds set a harder measure of human achievement. Communities read ash, gas, water, and tremors, while engineers map slopes, reinforce roads, monitor vents, and plan evacuation routes across steep terrain. None can command the crust. They can only buy time through knowledge, maintenance, and disciplined preparation. As Indonesia grows, that work becomes national infrastructure. Its future depends on treating volcanic risk not as a rare interruption, but as a permanent condition of life along one of Earth's most active tectonic frontiers. If this balance between beauty and unstable ground deserves closer attention, continue with the next documentary, where landscapes reveal the engineering, endurance, and preparation required to live under pressure daily.